I'm gonna take a stab at this, but I think you had 4 questions in this. And you had the
Sorry.
barges, you had, can you excavate little by little? You had, help me out here.
Different containers.
Boxes, smell.
Oh, that smell one was a little the
Yeah.
little digs at the same time. I think there were 2 more. Anyways, I'm gonna take a stab at the first one, and then if you could think of the other ones. The first one were the barges, and Doug, you can chime in anytime. You know, at one point, this was asked of us before, because it would seem reasonable, it was logical, you know, because we always talk about, you know, the trucking and everything. And if you look on our map, you see a lot of these piers that you could just think a ship can come up and whatever. The unfortunate part is because these piers and barges have not been maintained, they're not usable. You just can't do them. You can't use them for a barge. And also, if you're ever out there at low tide, you can almost walk to Candlestick Park. It's just, so otherwise saying, if we did want to implement something like that, number one, you would have to build a brand new barge. Number two, you have to dredge the entire bay just to get someone in there. It's just not, doesn't make sense.
Well, just one suggestion, if I can just butt in here. The Port of Oakland is excavating their harbor down to 50-foot depth to accommodate really large ships.
Mm-hmm.
And they take all that material up to Marin County off Hamilton Field in Novato. And they have a giant slurry pipe to move all that sediment. And they've even built their own PG&E substation to accommodate the electrical requirements. So there are some alternatives for moving a lot of dirt from one place to another.
That is true, Dr. McGowan, because actually we use that, it's called hydraulic dredging. We do that for North Island. And you're exactly right, it's 50 feet because that's the clearance you need for an aircraft carrier. You have to do it a lot. They do that because they have a lot of ships going in and out.
Mm-hmm.
For us, you have an operation just for a little bit. I don't even know what the cost of that would be. Plus, you have to remember Parcel F. We know from Parcel F that you have PCBs, you know, by the Panhandle area.
Oh, right.
You don't want to pull out material and then just shove it, somewhere else.
Yeah, excuse me, I'm not suggesting to excavate Yosemite Slough to 50 feet. I'm just saying that some of the technology that gets used in this 50-foot project that moves a lot of dirt might be applicable, you know, using a slurry pipeline or something like that. So you wouldn't necessarily have to pull the barge right up to the shoreline of E2.
Well, you don't have to convince Congress of the funding for that. I mean, for like the city of Oakland, they're probably getting, I'm willing to bet that they're getting some funding through Congress to help support it, but still, it's an economic improvement in order to make the Oakland port more valuable. Larger ships come in, they'll make a lot more money. This is all cost, so it is a harder sell.
Yeah, I'm glad.
No, I'm not saying this, I'm not using that as any reason behind things. I'm just saying these are facts that Oakland has it, that they can do this because it's an economic benefit. So this one, it's just total cost. So such a thing would increase cost if you put in a slurry pipeline to ship things off.
I would just like us to be respectful that there's a line of questions. So if we could minimize the crosswise dialogue. I mean, it's important. I'm glad we're having it, but I think if Melanie, if you can continue to respond to
Sure.
Okay,
Dr.
sorry.
Rao's comments, and then Matt, you're after Oscar James.
If you want me to, I can kind of chime in.
Terry Anders, Oscar James, and yourself.
Regarding the subject of,
Okay, this one isn't clear.
barges or whatever transportation method, you know, one thing that we looked at, you know, when preparing this estimate was, you know, like anything, you know, you have an objective, dig up soil, send it to a engineered landfill that can accept waste that we think might come out of this landfill. Unfortunately, you know, the method with barges, not only is it an effort to load it safely onto barges so you're not losing material into the bay, you then have to send it to a landfill. Well, and modern landfills that are sited to be able to handle, you know, waste that would come out of this landfill are not typically located near navigable waterways. So you are then talking about double, if not triple, handling this material to get it first from parcel E2 onto a barge, then up whatever waterway it might be, and that could be a tremendous distance. Most of the waste we had the waste landfills we had planned or estimated would be used for this alternative are located in Grandview, Idaho. You know, a landfill that can accept the full spectrum of waste that may come out of the Parsley 2 landfill, from low-level radiological waste to hazardous waste to even non-hazardous waste. And so, you know, keep in mind that, you know, your cost would increase exponentially every time you have to have labor in place to move that 100,000 or million cubic yards of material once, twice, 3 times. So that the economics of it quickly get out of hand in those kind of situations. And you know, this is just so you know where I'm coming from. You know, I work for a company that does studies like this, but we also do remediation where we're excavating material and sending it to landfills. So this is, you know, I was able to tap an extensive base of resources within my company to figure out, okay, what would be the most economically viable way to ship this material off, and that was how we ended up with the alternative of rehabilitating the existing rail lines on the base and sending the material off that way. So
There was